Hello and welcome back, Not Just Developers. Today we're going to build animated authentication screen using React Reanimated 2. This screen will have some simple but very nice animations that you can try to implement in your own application. So without wasting any more time, let's jump into the video and check out how will our end product look like. Okay, so let's quickly go over everything that we will have to work on. In our main screen, we will have a nice image background with two buttons on the bottom. After clicking one of these buttons, they will slide down, the image will slide up, the close button will rotate, and the form will appear. After clicking the close button, the image will slide down, the buttons will slide up, the close button will rotate, and the form will disappear. If we click register button, we will see registration form instead of the login form. And last but not least, after clicking this register button on the bottom, it will have a nice springy animation. So yeah, that's going to be our goal for this tutorial. And as always, I highly encourage you to try to innovate, do something different, find a better way of doing things. And for those who want to follow me along, I will leave an asset bundle in the description below where you can download the starter project and this image background. So without further ado, let's start coding. First and foremost, we need to create our Expo application. Now, if you have downloaded the asset bundle that I have provided in the description below, you can skip this step. Otherwise, open your terminal, navigate to that directory where you want to initialize your project, and then type npx create expo app and give it a name. In my case, I will name it animated auth, click enter, and now we will have to wait a little bit. Once the initialization is finished, we can go to our code editor, open the project we just initialized, and start working. Now, the first thing that we will do is install React Native Svg library. And you may ask why. And it's because we want to get this rounded bottom of our image. And the easiest way to get it would be by using React Native Svg library. So to install it, just open your terminal with this command and in terminal write expo install React Native Svg, click enter. Okay, once it's installed, we can finally start our application. And to do that, simply write expo start and then click A for Android and I for iOS simulator. In my case, I will press I and voila, our application is running on iOS simulator. Now we can close the terminal, go to app.js and clean up a little bit. Now the first thing that I will want to do is cut this styles object from here, create another file called styles.js and paste all that code. We also need to import style sheet here. Okay, let's save it. And also not forget to export styles. Save it, go back to app.js. Now we can import those styles here and click save. Okay, everything is working. Now let's delete this text because we won't need it and we won't need this as well here. That's perfect, clean canvas to work on. We don't need the background color, align items as well. We just will leave flex 1. And now let's import SVG elements that we will need. So SVG and also we will need image. Okay, so let's for now keep only image from React Native SVG. Save it and add SVG here. And inside this SVG component, add image component. Okay, now we need to give some styles to this SVG component and we need to give height and also width. And to make it easier, I will take the height and the width of our screen by simply importing here dimensions and in here doing const width dimensions dot get window. And now we will get that dimensions of our height and width of the simulator and we can simply pass it here, height and width. Save it. Now we need to pass some props to the image. And the first thing that we need to pass is href, which is the image that we want to use. So let's do like this. And here specify the path to the image. So for us, it will be assets / and if you downloaded the asset bundle that I've provided to you, you should have this background that I'm going to use. Login background.jpg. Let's save it. And we can already see that we have something here, but of course it's not the image that we want to use. So let's provide the width to the image, which will be the width of the screen. And let's provide the height of the image, which will also be the height of the screen for now. Now we can see that the image is here, but it's not full screen. So in order to make it full screen, we need to add one more prop, which is called preserve aspect ratio. And now we need to pass a string with X, mid, Y, mid, slice, which means align the midpoint X value of the element's view box with the midpoint X value of the viewport, and align the midpoint Y value of the element's view box with the midpoint Y value of the viewport. This part means that. And the slice part means entire image should be visible, which is basically the default. Let's save it. And now we can see that the image is full screen. Okay, now that we have our image here, we can start working on the buttons below. So for that, under SVG component, let's create a view that will hold both buttons, and also another view that will be our button. Let's work on login button for now. Also, let's add text component, which will say log in, and pass some styles, because of course we will need them. Let's say styles button, and for text it will be style equals styles dot button text. Let's save it and start working on the styles here. So the first one will be button, and let's give background color to our button. I have already in my notes the background color that I'm going to use. Of course, you can use whatever you want. And as you can see, we don't see the button anywhere with the background color nor the text. And that's because we need to align all of our content in the whole container at the bottom. So we need to say justify content flex end in our container. And as you can see, the button, that's not a button yet, but it appeared on the bottom. Okay, let's give height to our button, and it's going to be 55. That's already shaping up. Now let's align items in the center. Also justify content center. Okay, perfect. Now let's add border radius of 35. Okay, you can see already that the border is there. Now let's give some margins. So let's give horizontal margin 20, and also let's give vertical margins of 10. Perfect, that's already a lot better. Okay. What else do we need here? Oh yes, we need border width of 1, and also let's give border color white. Yeah, right now we don't see the border color, but we will see it. And actually that's what we're going to fix right now. We can see that everything that we add will go under the image. So let's try to add register button, and it's again under bottom. So that's bad. To solve this, we need to wrap our SVG in another view and pass styles to that view, and we will pass style sheet that dot absolute fill, which basically simplifies us a little bit of work. Instead of writing this big piece of code which does absolutely the same thing, as you can see, we can simply write style sheet dot absolute fill, and it will work like a charm. Now that we have our button styled, let's style the button text. Okay, so let's say button text, and in here we need to, let's start with specifying font size. Okay, it's a little bit bigger. Now let's do font weight. Let's give it 600. Okay, now let's give a color, which is going to be white. And as always, some letter spacing, which is going to be 0.5. Perfect. That's very nice. Last but not least, we can give some styles to our bottom container, which we will call it just like that, bottom container. Save it. Let's go here and add bottom container, which first of all, we want to align all of the items in the center. So let's do this. And also we want it to be the third of our screen, because if you remember, we will pull up the image until the third of our screen, which is where we will store our form, buttons, and all of that good stuff. So in order to do that, let's import dimensions from here. Now we will need to, again, the same way, width and height equals dimensions dot get window. Perfect. And we will say that the height of this container should be the height divided by 3. Okay, perfect. Now it's aligned in the middle and the screen looks just like we need it to look. Now, because I want to prepare all of my UI elements before starting to implement animations, I will hide these buttons, and also I will pick this image a little bit up so that we could start working on this form part. And later on, we will make everything look nice, animated, and pleasant for your eyes. Okay, so for the form, I will create another view. Also, I will need to import text inputs and simply here add 3 text inputs. So text input, text input, text input. Okay, now let's give placeholders for each of them. The first one will be email. Let's copy this, paste it here. Second will be full name. And the last one will be password. Okay, let's save them. We can already see it a little bit. Now let's also change the placeholder text color to black for the rest as well. Perfect. And also provide some styles. Styles.text input. And let's do that for the other ones as well. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to our styles and say text input. Let's give it a height of 50. Now let's give border width of 1. Let's also add border color and it will be this one. Now we can add some spacing between them. So let's add margin horizontal, which is going to be 20. And also let's give a margin vertical, which is going to be 10. Okay, let's save it. And I see, yes, I made a mistake here. Here it is. Now let's give border radius. Something like that I think would be good. Now let's give some padding on the left. Okay, perfect. And I think that's gonna be good. That's going to be good enough for us now. So now we can start working on the button on the bottom, which is basically going to be the same button as we had there with some shadows. So let's create another called form button. And let's go here and create another view with styles of form button. And also let's add text, which for now we'll say login. Okay, and the text will be the same, so we can simply say styles.button text and save it. Okay, now there's no form button here, so we need to implement that button, which is going to have very similar styles as this one. So let's copy it and paste it, but the only difference that we will add is shadow. So let's copy this part, paste it, and basically save it. I copied this part of the code, which is basically giving shadow color, shadow offset, which if I change here to 7, you can see the difference. I also gave shadow opacity, shadow radius, and elevation. I generated this shadow styles from shadow generator online. There's plenty of them. You can just type in Google React Native shadow generator and you'll find plenty of them. Okay, so that's already looking pretty good. But one thing that I will also give is styles to this view. So let's say styles.form input container. Save it and create it here. Form input container, which is going to hold a few more styles. But for now, we will only add margin bottom 70. Perfect. So now we basically have our form, and the last thing that is left for us is to implement that little close button here. For now, we will not align it anywhere. We will just create it, but later on we will also align it to always be here with the image. So yeah, we will add it here. So let's create another view, and inside here, simply add a text component with X. Let's save it. And we can already see it here. So of course we will have to add some more styles here. Styles.close button container. Okay, let's save it. Go here and add some more styles, which is going to be quite a lot styles. First of all, let's give it a height of 40 and width also 40. Now let's pass justify content center. Also align self center. Now let's add shadows that I have also generated in the same React Native shadow generator online. But in order to see those shadows, we need to provide background color. So let's give background color white. Perfect. Now let's align the item inside in the middle. So let's say align items center. Perfect. And let's give border radius of 20. Okay, I think that looks very good. Well, for now, of course, it's not aligned with how it's supposed to be, but yeah, it's almost there. So bear with me. But now we have all of the UI elements that we need. Of course, we will add animations to make everything look even better. But for now, this is what we have. And I hope I will meet you in a second part of this tutorial where we will add all of those things and finalize everything to make it look perfect. So yeah, hopefully We'll meet again very soon in a second part. See ya.